Slept on Cinema is sponsored by Training Ties, the ultimate shoe tying tool. If you know someone who's struggling with shoe tying for any reason, Training Ties is the perfect solution.
It's a failed attempt to revive a former pulp hero who has been passé for years.
The Shadow knows how to waste 2 hours.
Chaotic and dull.
A pulp hero dragged kicking and screaming into 1990s blockbuster mediocrity.
All shadow and no substance.
Overproduced but underwhelming monolith.
A noble failure that could not capture its pulpish essence.
The movie has all the coherence of a bad acid flashback.
Welcome to this week's episode of Slept on Cinema. I'm your host, Stan Steamer.
And I'm Grove Street.
And this week we're getting into the 1994, I'm going to say, pulp pastiche superhero film. How do you like that?
That's
The Shadow.
That's a perfect description.
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure it out because it's not really a superhero film in the traditional sense, and it's not just quite pulp. It's kind of its own thing, and it's fantastic. I mean, we were just talking about this before the pod. Again, we probably say this every week, but I just had so much fun watching this film. It's just a fun, engaging, just great way to spend a couple hours.
Yeah, this reminded me why we did this movie, and it's the same feeling. I remember watching this as like a 13-year-old, and I think that might be the perfect time to see this if you're 13, is to see it around that time.
Yes.
But if not, better yet, maybe in your 40s. But this is just a perfectly just fun movie.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going to the movie theater and watching this and just having a great time as a kid. So this movie, shockingly, like all movies we review, are at or below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes for both critics and audiences. And the podcast is structured so that the first half is spoiler-free, talk about some things to look for in the film, take a break, go watch the film, come back, and talk about some of the things we just saw. Should we get the rotten premise?
Rotten premise. Set in 1930s New York, a reformed criminal becomes a superhero. With the aid of a beautiful female friend, a playboy millionaire with a dark past has helped to bring the evil Shiwan Khan to justice. His quarry, who is determined to attain world domination, is a deadly descendant of Genghis Khan and will not surrender without a fight.
Yeah, I feel like that description nailed it. You never know with these Rotten Tomatoes descriptions, but that one really captured what this is about and made me really want to watch the film. So kudos to that person or AI or whoever now is in charge of those.
Yeah, and I also critic score 38 and audience 45. Which, like you said, the description sounds good. And this is for our podcast, 45 is too high for audience. And it makes sense.
Pretty high, yeah.
Let's tell the higher end, because like we keep saying, the premise is good and this is just a fun movie.
Yeah. A little bit of background. It came out July 1st, 1994. Opened number 2, but number 2 to the Lion King. So again, that's really like opening number 1. I mean, the Lion King is an all-timer. Anytime you're going against Disney, there's nothing you can do, literally nothing. So effective number 1, took in 11.7 million its opening weekend. Overall, only made 32 million on a $40 million budget. So my guess is it took a while to actually make that back after you take in all the video rentals and whatnot. But so didn't crush, but I think still had a decent showing. And the history of this character is pretty interesting. Back in the late 1920s, early 1930s, there was a magazine called Detective Story magazine. And the publisher started a radio show that had a guy narrating stories from that magazine. This was sort of just a weekly magazine that had detective stories in it. And the narrator was called The Shadow. And The Shadow sort of introduced the story, read the story. But it turned out that listeners were more interested in this sinister-sounding narrator that was called The Shadow than the actual stories he was reading. So people began asking for copies and stories about The Shadow. And so the magazine publisher sort of like, well, let's give the people what they want. And they created The Shadow in response to this popular opinion. And they started writing 2 full-length novels a month. So every other week, they would come out with a new Shadow story. And they ended up writing 325 stories spanning over 20 years. And this guy, Walter Gibson, sort of the godfather of the Shadow, wrote 287 of these stories over a couple decades, which is just wild. They ended up starting a radio show after this. It was sort of like radio show, story turns into radio show, turns into story, turns into radio show. So in 1937, this radio show of the Shadow started, and that was tales of these books that had been written during the 20s and 30s. That ran from 1937 to 1950. Those series of Shadow stories involved a lot of alter egos. So the Shadow had a number of different personalities and personas that he would adopt. Lamont Cranston was the most frequently used. So that's the one that we see in this story. But the sort of real Shadow story had a bunch of different people that he portrayed. And one of the early voices of this radio program was Orson Welles from 1937 to 1938. So this was a real deal, highly popular, famous people involved program, and it ran for decades and was incredibly popular. So this was one of the first real movie adaptations of that, and I'm kind of shocked that it took so long, but it's great. I'm glad it made me want to go back and read some of these pulpy novels.
That's great. Such great background. And that makes me feel almost robbed that Lamont Cranston is only one possible identity of the Shadow.
Yeah.
That's such a possible universe of shadows. That's wild that he's only one of his characters within the Shadow. That's awesome background. And I knew there was so much to it. And that's so cool that it started out not even as the Shadow, just the voice reading it became its own thing for all the other stories. Cool background.
Yeah, it goes to show it's sort of like sometimes the people just know what's up. Like they're like, okay, these stories are okay, but tell me about the Shadow. And then they do. And it's, one of the all-time greatest pulp stories.
I'm always impressed by those. You said one of the writers did like 280 episodes. The writers who can just crank things out. Like what you hear the stories about, like Rocky being made in a weekend, or just like these like ultra productive writers. It's just some like superpower that's just so impressive.
Oh yeah, it's some element of genius for sure. They can just give you access to that level of creativity to churn out that many stories that are still new and interesting that people keep wanting to read. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. Bolo, be on the lookout. This was a lot of fun in this movie. This was just a ton of, so many aspects of this movie was fun, but Bolo, be on the lookout.
Yes.
Be on the lookout when watching the movie. I got to start with, I'm always on the lookout for this, so much so my wife thinks I have a problem, but in this movie it's a lot of fun. Bolo hair. Just hairstyle.
Oh yeah, it's great. The style of everything is fantastic, and obviously very intentional throughout the film for making a movie in the 90s that takes place in the 30s. But they did a great job. That's a great detail. I'll follow that up with fingernails. Bolo fingernails.
Bolo pupils, big pupils.
Yes. And I was curious if this was where you were going with your first one, but Bolo is a Grove Street special. Bolo, the spinning newspaper.
Yes. Bolo, yada, 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 learning how to be the Shadow.
Yes. And now's a good time to follow that up with Bolo Seinfeld characters, because there are quite a few here. I'm sure I missed some, but we at least have the Chinese restaurant host, we have Banya, we have the fake Kramer actor when they're making the show, and then we also have the sniffling accountant. So that was the four that I sniped there. I would bet there are others, but
it could have been more, but I definitely noticed those ones. That's good. Bolo, this was sneaky. I think this is the first, but Bolo delayed text intro.
Yes, I thought the same thing. I was like, it really caught me off guard because I thought we were into the movie, and then all of a sudden we're getting the text intro. Like, I don't know, 8 minutes in, it's groundbreaking. I'm gonna go Bolo split diopter shots. I feel like they really leveraged some of the technique. They really made it heavy use.
Bolo sending the right bottle over. Sometimes you don't get it right, but.
This is one that's really a Stan Steamer favorite, but Bolo, just a great font.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal font here.
This is a high-end steamer. Bolo, there was spinning newspapers and also just big newspapers also for.
Yes. One of my favorites. It's a real sign of the times.
Big headlines too on big newspapers.
Yes. Bolo, a very persuasive billboard.
Bolo, a most wretched lair of villainy.
And this, I guess, goes along with hair, but Bolo, a thin mustache. I think that must have been in at the time.
There's so many good ones here. Bolo gulping a martini.
This is a back-to-back martini movies. This, I feel like, was also groundbreaking because I've seen people get thrown out of glass windows, and I've seen people get thrown into a glass table. But this was the first movie where I've seen someone get thrown out of a glass window into a glass table. So Bolo that. It was, again, groundbreaking.
This was probably our best glass movie. Very great use of glass in this movie.
Yes.
Even better in HD now.
Bolo, it's weird they left that out of the Rotten Tomatoes description.
Bolo, a clever neckline.
Bolo, an out-of-place sex joke.
You don't see it coming. Bolo, correctly cutting the wrong wire.
Bolo, a mask?
Bolo, shooting the hostage.
Yes. Got to call us out whenever we see it, and very period appropriate. But Bolo, a flask.
Nice. Bolo, a nice tie joke that pokes fun at the forced advertisement of the original show in the 1930s. Think like Truman Show.
Yes. Yes. Bolo, a llama. Not a camel, a llama.
I'd climb a mountain for a llama. Bolo, the director's name being shown at the end. I can't pronounce it. Mulcahy. It's at the end of the movie. Little tidbit about him: he's also the director of Highlander and the first ever MTV music video. Video killed the radio star.
Wow, what a great fact! Bolo poppies. Forgot about that one. Bolo poppies.
Bolo. This is such a cool thing, and it might come up later. But Bolo bullets colliding.
Yes, I had that one up. That was probably next on my list. It was so cool. And I'll follow it up with Bolo indiscriminate shooting. There's quite a bit of that.
I can think of one scene in particular. I think this might be my last one. Bolo swinging swords around like a helicopter.
It's a great move. If I ever have a bunch of swords, I'll have to do that. I feel like I could go on, but this will be my last one. I'll just go with Bolo, a rotating floor. Love to see that. Makes me think of a good rotating restaurant, which I haven't been to a rotating restaurant in quite a long time.
Do you have a favorite rotating restaurant?
I think maybe I've only been to one. There's one on the Charles River in Cambridge at the top of like a Hyatt or something that I've been to. I don't know. Do they still exist? It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't. I think they exist. A lot. People are less impressed, I think, than they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Ripe for a comeback.
Yeah, and it's cool if you go to one. It's one of your favorites.
Yes, right. It has to be.
Drink to pair with a movie. You want to go first on this one?
A lot of good options here. For me, this is one of these ones that really just makes you feel right at home. So I'm going just bourbon but this is very important, in a crystal glass. There was so much great crystal in this movie. So I'm going bourbon in a crystal glass. And this wasn't in the film, but I feel like it very easily could have been. If you want, you can throw in some soda water, some club soda, but you have to do it from one of those old-timey Charger canisters that I feel like would have fit right in the 1930s. So if you have one of those, feel free to toss in a little bit of club soda. That would
perfectly pair with this movie, and I think we're thinking along the same lines here. I almost picked a martini as two in a row. It was very, very close. That would pair well with this, but I picked a drink called the Clouded Mind, which is a very simple drink. And it's just bourbon, a black cherry, and an absinthe. So very similar to yours. But crystal of glass, and we might have the perfect drink.
I think that's right, but very important. It's crystal. I feel like if I watched anything from this movie, it was that I need way more crystal in my life.
It's so impressive. Why have we got away from crystal? Like, there's way too much stainless steel in our lives. We need more crystal.
Yeah, let's go back. Impressive. I need to. I feel like hitting up like some yard sales could solve this pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we have to go to some east places too, yard sales and estate sales.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. It's on my list. I'm making it happen.
This movie's a blast. Enjoy with your bourbon drink and crystal, and we will see you on the other side.
Yeah, enjoy.
He was consumed by evil. He became the Shadow.
I didn't see anything. I swear.
Dump him. Now, when the world is in danger, who knows what powers stir in the night?
Whatever you did. It's in the past.
Genghis Khan conquered half of the world in his lifetime. I intend to finish the job.
And when the adventure begins,
activate the bomb.
Who knows where it will end? Alec Baldwin, John Lone, Penelope Ann Miller, and Tim Curry. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow.
Welcome back. The movie was great. There's no way around that. I don't know how you could watch that and be like, not for me. Like, that movie was just, it's a great like Saturday afternoon movie.
That's the perfect time to watch. Yeah, Saturday afternoon, exactly. And if you like this podcast, I can't imagine not liking this movie. It's just an enjoyable, fun movie. And Alec Baldwin just being like, oh, wow, Alec Baldwin, there he is when he's young, just being super.
Oh, yeah. Prime Alec Baldwin. He is like the essence of Alec Baldwin is in its most pure right in this very moment.
Should we get to the draft?
Yeah, let's just jump right in. I mean, this is another one of these ones that I feel like I could draft for days. There's just so many things to love about this film. I did have a hard time. I didn't think there was like necessarily a one of one, but there was a lot in here that I'd feel great taking with the first pick. And I'm taking a bit of a strange pick here. It's a bit conceptual, I'll say. But I'm going with this idea of it's sort of like this type of movie is like, I'm going to call it a gateway pastiche movie. This style of movie, it's a modern movie, for the 90s, but at the time it was a modern movie, but made not only taking place in the 1930s, but a sort of another era, like the styles they used to shoot it, the type of story that they portrayed. It just made me think of another era, but it was also very approachable. Like, I remember watching this as a kid and was like really into it. And I feel like it's a gateway to opening up your audience to seeing a lot of these other types of movies that it is borrowing and like paying homages to. So it made me think of both of like The Rocketeer, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Dick Tracy, even The Mummy going into this sort of like old timey sort of monster-ish movie. All of those are this sort of same type of gateway, like modern gateway film that you can watch, you can show your kids, and it's engaging in a modern way, but then opens their eyes to this whole other catalog of films. And I love that kind of movie. And I there aren't as many of them made now, but I thought this was a great version of that, of sort of a modern movie that pulled in so many great elements from movie history and just makes you want to watch all those other genres.
Yeah, that's a great pick. It is a great like rabbit hole to go down, because I found myself doing it too. And it's funny that you said The Rocketeer. I was definitely brought up the webpage for Rocketeer when watching this, because it just brought you back to that sort of movie. And then you're going into like the culture of that time in the 30s and the music that's going on then and that whole thing. And you're right, it exposed you to then this whole new genre, or rediscover a genre that existed from before. It opened your eyes to it, because that ended up happening just naturally. Great pick. My first pick, Alec Baldwin. I could have just him on the screen is him, and then just turning into the mask and his voice And I don't think anyone could do that sort of smugness with like real intent behind it besides Alec Baldwin
Oh yeah.
in this, and just him as Yinko and the hair to the side, and just like it's just so Alec Baldwin. I don't know who else could have done that besides.
That's a great pick. I mean, I can't. It's almost like if Alec Baldwin didn't exist, they just should have never have made this movie. It's just he's so the exactly perfect actor for this role, and at that time that they got him, like this was the stars aligned for this movie to come out, and it's perfect.
Yeah, it's almost like his future self almost would be like making fun of him, like on SNL. It's the way he acts, almost like he's pretending he's in the shadow because it's a little bit over the top.
Yep.
But it would be something we would just laugh at now, but it was not then, and he pulls it off so well. This is just an Alec Baldwin vehicle.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I do feel like we were robbed by not having more shadow movies made then with Alec Baldwin.
Absolutely. And my second pick was, this might be our best cape movie. What the cape physics and the usage of the cape, and it's such a big part of his identity. And I love it. It's definitely of the era too, because capes was such a big 1930s, like superheroes, Superman, of course, Batman. Like the original heroes have capes. And the Incredibles came along, and there's a scene, of course, of those capes. Everyone, there's the danger of a cape, but there's also the benefits of a cape. And we see that in the shadow. And I'm not sure there's a superhero that uses the cape more. And I'm not talking about a cape that has its own like anthropomorphic abilities, where it's like human, and it's not like Aladdin's cape. This is like
right.
He does. He controls it. So I think it's just the cape usage of it is just the best I've seen.
Yeah, that's right. There's obviously the Batman cape that sort of is almost a tool. This is a cape used in its pure cape essence. It is just strictly cape, but to perfect usage.
Yeah, it's got to be my pick for sure.
I wonder when capes are coming back. Right? I mean, it's been a while.
If we get
probably do.
They just got to remake The Shadow, I think, and show how cool it is, and then maybe be walking around again with Brooks Brothers selling capes.
Yeah. I feel like to wear a cape, you really need to pull it off right. Because it is, I think right now a cape is so out that if you wear it, and if you wear it right, it's so out that it would be amazing if you nailed it, but you really have to nail it.
It's pretty hard to pull off. Yeah, it is very out right now to wear a cape.
It might be the hardest accessory to pull off right now.
Yeah, and to like have people think you're still sane. Like
yes, right. Putting aside any sort of hate symbolism, I think the cape might be just the first item on that next tier.
Yeah, good point.
But not to say, not to say it's not going to happen. Another thing to keep an eye out for at these estate sales where we're looking for crystal glasses. That's a great pick. My second pick, I'm going with the idea of sort of having a favor bank. The Shadow here goes around saving people and doesn't really ask for anything in return immediately, but he gives you this ring. You're in his debt, and he is just going around worldwide collecting favors, and then can just use them and deploy them whenever he needs, and he does to great effect in this film. And I just think that would be a fantastic thing to have. Imagine if you just had favors that you could call in globally whenever you need them. I mean, is there anything better than that?
It's a great way to use some of his old past. Like, he's a superhero, but and he saves someone's life, and it's not like, I'm not doing it just to help you. It's like, no, now you're my servant for the rest of time here. So yeah, it's a great bank to be like, and I'm going to call on it. It never ends. This guy's going to just drive my taxi around forever, I guess. And thank you forever. It's a great technique. I had that almost one of my picks as well. I love that you called it the favor bank, and that's exactly what it is. He just he can take endless withdrawals from this favor bank because he saved their life. Which he's supposed to do. He's a superhero, but he just now he has people. He has a network of people that are happy to help.
Yeah, and it's almost this brotherhood of people that are excited to be in this band of people who owe the shadow favors.
And yeah, the cabbie made it feel that way. He's like, "Oh yeah, I saved my life too," and it made it feel like you were in.
Yep. Yeah. So I loved that. Let's see. All right, there were so many things to do here. I'm gonna have my third pick here, and then I'm gonna go with this a little off script, but I am gonna keep 2 sleepers and an anti-pick. So just buckle up. My third pick though is a bit. I feel like I'm staying highbrow a little bit. I'm going with this technique, and I had to look up how to pronounce this, but it's chiaroscuro. It's an Italian term for light dark, and you saw it throughout the film. It's this use of the light and the dark shadows, and it's a big sort of 1930s noir era film technique of really capturing light and shadow at once, and you'll see it on people's faces, you'll see it on how they're presenting people, and it just creates this eerie feeling, or it draws your attention to like the character's eyes, or it's this sort of subtle way of really creating a feeling in the film. And obviously with the name The Shadow, there's amazing use of shadow throughout the film, and I just thought they did that like a really, really well. Like it furthered the story, it furthered the feeling of the film, it furthered making this feel like a film that would have been filmed in the time that it takes place in. And for all that, it was just fantastic. And I was glad there's a word that sums all that up. Chiaroscuro. So awesome.
That's a great new word to learn, and a great choice. I can't wait for the rest of your picks now with that setup. My third pick is, it's another weapon, the furba.
Yes.
Things that you have to like master, and then once you have it, it's like, whoa, now you've earned the right. I guess it comes from like Excalibur, sort of the stone.
Yep.
Of it, and then you have that superpower. So the Ferber, I thought that was great. Using and holding it, the bite was great. So it had this sort of like knife-like feature to it. And I looked it up. It is a real thing that existed, but not as a weapon. It's more of like a nail that you put in to like ward off bad energy type thing. But what a cool weapon to just have your mind control at night. What do you do?
Yes, that is so cool. That's a great pick.
It almost reminded me of in Guardians of the Galaxy, that like Whistler. You could like have that go everywhere. Yep. This is a great weapon.
Oh, I mean that has to be an homage to this film,
right? One would think. The Ferber and a sleeper. This is a lot of sleepers, and I think disappearing ink is going to be it. So they got letters at the end, and it showed up for them, and
yes,
that's a great, like, you got a spy kit as a kid, and they came with like a disappearing ink, and it just felt so clever that you could.
It was so cool.
All of that. So disappearing ink and actually using it well.
Yep. Oh, and is that a pun there too? Using it well, like an inkwell?
Oh, I can't take credit for that, but yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like all that sort of like low tech spy stuff is just so cool.
Low tech spy stuff. I love that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like I remember as a kid, you'd like write something in lemon juice.
Yep.
And you could send a message, and then if you heat it up, it shows up, and it's like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. These idiots don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. Great pick. All right, I will fire these off fast, but my first sleeper, Peking duck. I mean, I love the line, "It's so strange, I have this sudden craving for Peking duck." And he's talking to the woman, and she's like, "That's funny, I was just thinking the same thing." Clearly showing their sort of mind meld, but what a line. To go as a pickup line, like to take someone out for Peking duck, like let's get out of here and go eat some Peking duck. I love Peking duck. It never even occurred to me to use it as like a pickup line, but fantastic. Peking duck's the pinnacle of duck. It's one of the greatest foods that exists in the planet. So easy pick there, Peking duck. Other sleeper, and I'd never, this is another thing that had never occurred to me. I mean, it shows up once, and it's a style choice of dressing to match the floor, which I'd never seen that before. But at one point, the Khan is on the floor. You don't even realize it. And then he stands up and his robes perfectly match the floor tiles. I've never considered doing that. I didn't even know that was an option for how I could dress. And now I'd like to do that. It did remind me a bit of a classic. I think it was a Tom Green bit on Conan O'Brien back in the day when he was hosting the late show, or whatever it was, late night, where Tom Green shows up wearing a suit that was the exact same fabric as the couch that guests sit on Conan. So same concept. I'd love to bring that back. It's just a brilliant move.
The Peking duck thing, I think, was phenomenal. The pickup line, I think it's like, it's a risk, and if they want to go for Peking duck, it's almost like Wayne's World, when it's like if you hurl and they stay, they're in. If
yes.
Like, hey, Peking duck, and they're like, absolutely. You're like, I think we either have to let it get married, or we're going home tonight, and it's a great thing to just lob out there. And
amazing litmus test. Either we're either compatible or we're not. I'm going to test it right now.
Yep, exactly. Great pick. Yep.
And my anti-pick is just telling people about your dreams. No one cares. No one cares. The only minor exception is if your dream is so absurd that it's independently funny. Like if someone was just like, here's this funny thing I thought of, I would still find it funny. That's the only exception, because then it doesn't even matter that it was someone's dream. But if you're telling me about whatever boring dream or something that you woke up, you had a night, I don't care. No one cares. Keep that to yourself.
I can't imagine. It's top 5, like Family Feud, top 5. You couldn't care less about someone talking when they're talking, thing they're saying, because ultimately it just ends with a dead end of, isn't that weird? Well, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you're just left there with nothing else to go to. It's just something that didn't happen.
Yes.
It's just a thought you didn't control. It's awful.
Yeah. And then like suddenly like I'm supposed to feel bad because I don't care about your stupid dream. Like, no, like I had to listen to that. And now you're making me feel like a jerk. It's terrible.
God forbid they think there's meaning behind it. And then they think some people might have meaning behind it. So it's not just stories. It's like, wow, what wisdom could we glean from this? There's nothing. I might rather hear like a bad beat of a poker story than hear about someone.
Oh yeah. I would for sure. And that's bad, but you're right. That's not as bad as hearing about someone's dream.
Great.
Yeah, it's like hearing about your fantasy team, your bad beats, your dreams. The dreams takes all of it.
Gross. That's a top pick for best anti-pick yet. Moving on to our superlative favorite 1930s thing.
Yeah, some great things to choose from here. But for me, there was one that stood head and shoulders above the rest. And for me, it's pneumatic tubes. There's the use of the pneumatic tubes here. It's one of my great disappointments that technology didn't survive to this day and was replaced by much more practical things like email or even just regular mail. The pneumatic tube as a means of sending information quickly to another building or another floor. It's so fantastical. It's one of these things that I have a hard time believing that it was real, that this was a thing, but it was. This was a very commonplace thing, especially in large buildings, for getting information from one part of the building to the next. And like, this is one of these things where if I had a time machine, I would like to go back and just see pneumatic tubes in action.
Yeah, I mean, that is a perfect pick for you, and I kind of thought of that when it was going on. It's maybe a good thing. I'm not sure you get a lot of work done. Would you want to be the guy?
No, I would just be firing tubes off left and right.
The guy receiving all of the tubes and sending them out.
Yeah, you do still see them sometimes at drive-through ATMs. That's the only place I know that still really uses pneumatic tubes.
Those were fun too back in the day.
Yeah,
the deposits. Yeah, and I thought of Tommy Boy too with her system.
Yes.
Great use of tubes. I'm going to go with favorite thing from the 1930s is how villains talk. Anytime I'm playing imagination with growing up or with my boys, and I have to go into cops and robbers and bad guy, I instantly turn into 1930s bad guy talk.
Yep.
And it's way to talk, and it's
the perfect era of bad guy.
It's the plentiful. You can be the guy on the radio talking about that guy. It's just in this movie. It's plentiful and just so enjoyable. But definitely how bad guys speak.
Yes, that's a great pick, and it's so you can pinpoint just when that is by that style of bad guy talk. It's great.
I thought I had the perfect one for this next segment. The favorite bumper sticker line. What line from this movie?
Oh, but before we move on to our next one, I need to toss one more thing in that gave me a chuckle, and I think is an old timey thing, but it might not be 1930s because I feel like maybe it's also just like a really old person now thing. Calling the waiter, like saying, "Oh, waiter." I feel like that's not done anymore.
Is it rude?
I don't know. It feels like it would be rude now, but it shouldn't be, right?
They
are the waiter, and I don't necessarily know their name.
That instantly makes me think of Half Baked, where it's scientist and janitor.
Yes.
Right? And that seems like a nice thing to just call each other. Waiter.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like people would take offense to it, but
I think so too, but I don't think they should. Like you wouldn't if you were just like, "Hey, doctor," that's not a thing. Right. Or nurse, do you mind handing me that? No problem. But why not do that with waiters again?
Using what they are as an identifier. I agree. Let's try and bring that back. What favorite line? What line from this movie would you most want to see on the back of a car as a bumper sticker? Like I was saying,
this was a very bumper stickerable movie in my mind.
It's like they reverse engineered from a number of bumper stickers into a movie.
Yes. That's exactly right.
I'm going to pick this one because as a kid, I feel like they used to say this as a kid, and I had trouble with this, so it stung a little bit, but it was very prevalent. It said a lot. But he was talking about mind control, but the bumper sticker line is learn how to read. Like, it's a very mean thing that people say as a kid. And it came up in this one where he was like, I can read your mind like an open book. And then he's like, then you should learn how to read. I feel like that was a 90s thing. Saying, like, learn how to read.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great line. It really stings.
It really stings. Learn how to read.
There's also some irony to it because, like, you can't read it without knowing how to read, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like those signs, like, if you read this, you're an idiot. You're like, you got it.
Yes. That's great, Big. That's great. I'm going with this line just because I feel like it in some ways distills the essence of what a lot of other bumper stickers I see are. And it's just, none of them see it, but I see it. It really captures that sort of conspiracy theorist. Everyone else is missing it, but I see it.
That car has lots of stuff on its dashboard.
Yes. Yeah. There's all sorts of things tucked in there. There's receipts dating back several presidential administrations, all sorts of things wrapped in duct tape. I considered going "A clouded mind sees nothing." That's kind of an obvious one. Yep. That's almost maybe even the tagline for this film, but none of them see it, but I see it. That just really speaks to me as a bumper sticker.
"A clouded mind sees nothing" is good. I had two I almost picked. One was "I'm not looking for redemption." I like that person, watch out for. And I like this as just a jerk. You call that a temple? That was be a jerk thing to see on the back of someone's car.
Yep.
Length of the movie, 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Pretty perfect.
Same.
I think it's one of those movies that has to, this style of movie has to be under 2 hours, like, for sure. But it never dragged. I think they nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. It always kind of like, once it got going, it just ended right away. I never felt like it was dragging. Yeah. One change should be a blockbuster. What one change from this movie would maybe bring it past The Lion King and make it the number one movie at the time?
Yeah, you hinted at this in the first half in our bolos, but for me, I wanted just a little bit more explanation about, like, how the shadow worked and, like, why did his nose change? Like, when he's like the shadow, he has a different nose, which then suggests to me that he can, like, maybe there's, like, some element of shape shifting, and that this Lamont Cranston like was one alter ego, and he had the ability to become other alter egos. But I wanted just a couple sentences early on that clued me in a little bit more to like how this worked.
There definitely needed to be, that would have helped a lot. I think, and that was a lot of people's issues with it, is the clarity on like, what is that? And is that real? Is Lamont Cranston real? What is the mask? Like, what is going on here? And that's the part that, they kind of yada in the beginning.
Yes, exactly. So just a little bit of explanation. I mean, I don't mind connecting the dots. Like that I have no problem doing that. But I think to make it a blockbuster, I think that would have helped.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine was very simple. I just never would have cut Yinko's hair. I would have made it that he was rich enough and eccentric enough, and he's Alec Baldwin where no one could do anything, and he could have just.
Yes.
And it's wild. There's one scene in the opium den, I think, after he gets kidnapped, where his hair is just like, he looks like unfrozen caveman lawyer, and it's just this massive. And it's just like that shouldn't have been one scene. We just needed to see that the entire time. It was like the shadow or that thing that he had. We just need
there's some serious moss. Why we didn't get more screen time with that was we'll never know.
Yeah, so just more never cut Yinko's hair would be my one change. Spin-off ideas. I wonder if this was mine stuck out as sort of obvious, but I'm curious if what you picked for a spin-off idea.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like mine was obvious as well. I mean, I think the spin-off is, you have 280 of these stories. So just like, let's see all of them, right? Like, why did we stop at one? And for me, the obvious first one is just, I want to see how he ended up at this opium den, drug lord. Give me the backstory there. I mean, that's clearly they must have written a story about that, and I would love to see it. I mean, we'd get the hair, we'd get everything. That whole it's an entirely different setting. It would be an entirely different film. Give it to me.
That's what I had. Yep.
Yeah,
and I just learned about from your trivia at the beginning with the multiple storylines, but that's obviously it. But the how did he get his? He controls Lamont Cranston. Controls all of the opium and all the money in all of Asia. This is a wild journey, and he's just hacking apart villages. Like this might be the movie. I would love to see it.
And seemed to maybe have done it in a short period of time, because the police chief is like, well, when you were gone for, I don't know, 7 years or something. It's like, it wasn't that long.
And it was so violent and barbaric that a descendant of Genghis Khan's greatest admired Yinko more than even his grand descendant Genghis Khan, because of how vicious it was and swift and brutal. He had memorized battles from it. So I would have loved to see that.
Right, exactly. So give us that. We need to find another Alec Baldwin. I don't know who today's Alec Baldwin is, but let's get this going.
Yeah, could be a one of one on that one. Segment Tying Up Loose Ends, sponsored by Training Ties. Any notes we didn't get to?
It did make me wonder, because a number of people were saying aeroplane in the film, and I was like, when did we switch from aeroplane to airplane? And it turns out that this was a thing. People, when airplanes first came out, everyone called them aeroplane. It was from a French word. I don't know why, and until around the early 20s, almost like airplane as a word didn't exist. And in the 20s, it started to shift over, but primarily just in the U.S. And I guess in like British English, to this day, a lot of people still do say aeroplane. So they got that. It was a period appropriate, but a little tidbit there.
I like that. It's it makes me think of when did we switch from tin foil to aluminum foil? Is that right around the same?
Right. And how many generations are we still going to be calling it tin foil?
Yeah, aeroplane. Maybe we'll go back to calling it. We'll call people by their profession and aeroplane. And
yes.
Movies, yes. Just bring us back to a different era. I like the call and response from all of his indentured servants that he has now. The sun is which he then uses. The sun is shining, and but the ice is those little secret codes. I think is pretty cool.
The secret codes in general. I mean, that easily could have been a draft pick, and I had that on my list of just having a secret code that you can then recognize people in your brotherhood with is awesome.
Yeah. Leo movie.
It goes back with that like low tech spycraft.
Yep. And even like the ring. This is low tech stuff, like having essentially like a mood ring.
Yep.
On, or just like that made me think of like the skulls, where it's like you have that under your watch, like the little branding.
Yep.
Just to show you're in the Brotherhood, something. And that's all
I did think it was interesting they had the War Department, which obviously has been back in the news, but that also accurate. It went from War Department to Department of Defense, and now, depending on who you ask, maybe back to the War Department. That was an interesting item that I'm sure they didn't expect would become relevant again decades later.
Yeah, 100 years later in the 30s.
Yeah. And the other thing I had was that I kind of liked seeing the set, like the New York set. It was in the Universal backlot, and it's one of these sets that they've used in a ton of different movies. They used it in Seinfeld as well. So a lot of these buildings and things like that you would probably recognize from another set of films. But I also kind of like that sort of style of movie making where you are using just this like kind of obviously a set, but it doesn't matter. It's just kind of fun. And it was good to see that here.
Yeah, and I almost took the whole set design or the whole thing as my first actual pick. It did such a good job of pulling you into the 1930s. And the set pieces did it. Something about it, you're right. Like, you can know it's a set piece it's used and still be like, that's okay. I know I'm watching a movie. It doesn't bother you. And it's something
right.
about it.
Right. And it again brings it back to that sort of like how they would make the movie in the 30s.
Right. Yeah.
It is interesting too. This ended up being a Tim Curry double feature, but it was also sort of like a pulp double feature. Like we talked about how Congo was sort of a pulp style adventure movie and was at least initially conceived that way and still definitely had essence of it. And this was very much pulpy. So we sort of ended up with a Tim Curry double feature and a pulp double feature, which is fun.
Yeah. And I guess Tim Curry comes with a little pulp and almost a martini double feature.
Yes. Right. Right. So that leads us, we're rolling right from a double feature into our first ever triple feature, which I am psyched for. We're definitely taking a turn in terms of stylistic movies, but we're getting into a Alien and Predator triple feature. So what do we have? I think first up we have Aliens 3, and then following that with Predator 2, and then capping the whole thing off with the excellent Alien vs. Predator, which I cannot wait.
I had known the other ones were kind of poorly rated, Alien 3 and Predator 2, but I mean, finishing it off with them battling at the end, this is going to be the time.
And Alien 3 is good. I mean, Alien 3 in part it has the misfortune of coming after two of the greatest movies ever made with Alien and Aliens. Like, those are literally two of the greatest films ever made, and it's tough to keep that up.
Yeah, I'm going to try to land this plane here, but I try to tell this to my wife sometimes. Sometimes we're in too much isolation where you can be compared to yourself too much. Maybe, if you're like, you have to improve based on what you've done in the past, but you're only comparing to what was once really good, like Aliens 1 and 2. Alien 3 should be only compared to itself, but to all movies.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because how can it keep up with its prior self? So in a vacuum, Alien 3, I think it would be, revolutionary, top 90% Rotten Tomatoes if it was on.
Yes. I completely agree. I can't wait to get into it. It's an awesome film. This is going to be a great trilogy here. Triple feature. Yes.
Awesome. Well, this was a blast, and later.
Yeah, later.